Hi, I'm Jeannie Raffa. I'm an educator, author, lover of mythology, and longtime student of Jungian psychology. Today, I'm going to tell you a true story. Joseph Campbell said, "The myth is the public dream, and the dream is the private myth. If your private myth, your dream, happens to coincide with that of the society, you are in good accord with your group. If it isn't, you've got an adventure in the dark forest ahead of you." As a child of the 50s, I learned that females had secondary roles. My father was my hero, a policeman who protected people and fought crime. I wanted to be like him, but girls couldn't be policemen. My mother was a nurse, a helper to the male doctors who were her heroes. I wanted to be like them too, but I knew that would never happen. Despite numerous cultural changes since then, stereotypical messages about gender still run like shadowy undercurrents beneath the surface of our lives. Until we challenge them, they will block our search for fulfillment, and that's what happened to me. My story begins with a numinous dream I had of the Lone Ranger in Tonto at the age of 10. In my dream, I'm walking along some raised railroad tracks with woods on either side. I wonder, where am I going? Why am I alone? Where are my parents? I hear a voice calling me, "Jean, Jean." I turn around and see Tonto. "The Lone Ranger wants to see you," he says. The Lone Ranger and Tonto were my heroes, so I followed Tonto back along the tracks. He pointed to the ground below the embankment. There's the Lone Ranger looking up at me. Behind him, his magnificent horse Silver is grazing peacefully at the edge of the forest. The Lone Ranger tells me to come down and back up against the embankment. I do. He pulls out his gun, points it at me, and shoots me. I feel the impact in the center of my chest. Terrified, I think, am I going to die now? I don't want to go to heaven yet. I woke up screaming and sobbing. My mother ran into my room and held me and said, "It's okay, honey. It was just a dream." But I was outraged. That was not just a dream. It had happened to me, and I had never felt so betrayed. I said to myself, I am 10 years old, and I will never forget this dream. That summer, my parents divorced. I sobbed in my mother's lap. Shortly afterwards, my father remarried, and 3 months later, he died of his third heart attack. I didn't shed a tear. When his heart shut down, so did mine. I thought I was fine. But beneath my awareness, my father's betrayal and the Lone Ranger's silver bullet had severely wounded my heart. My innocent self-confidence, my belief in a benevolent world were gone. In their place was a frightened orphan with a new myth. Like Cinderella, she would be a good girl who pleased everyone with hard work, submissiveness, and perfection. If she was good enough, she might get to marry a prince, and they would live happily ever after. Jung said, "My aim is to unearth the psychic facts to which religious statements refer. I have found that as a rule, when archetypal contents spontaneously appear in dreams, etc., numinous and healing effects emanate from them. They are primordial psychic experiences which very often give patients access again to blocked religious truths. I have also had this experience myself. When my father died, so did my sense of safety in a world that felt very dangerous. Daddy and the Lone Ranger were my gods. After they betrayed me, I needed a new image of a father hero who would always protect me. I found him in Christianity's Father God, who was up in the starry skies watching my every move. Believing in this image brought meaning to my life for many years. It would be many more before I realized that Mother Goddess was missing from this picture. Jung said the archetypal is a powerful emotion brought into its original form. No one in my family shared their feelings, and strong emotions were strictly taboo. Proud of my willpower, I repressed the pain of my broken heart and escaped into the heady world of academia, intellect, and ideals. I met the man of my dreams in college. We married and had 2 children. When strong emotions threatened to unmask me, Cinderella ruled. I simply dammed them up. But by midlife, my persona was beginning to crack. Second wave feminism had reawakened my childhood sense of patriarchal injustice toward women, and it fueled my orphan archetype with emotions I could no longer ignore. Some of my repressed instincts, physical aspects of my nature that I had neglected in service to the life of the mind, were also waking up. Dr. Jung named 5 instincts: nurturance, activity, reflection, sex, and creativity. He taught that integrating these powerful needs is crucial to individuation because it connects us to the archetypes, the numinous gods and goddesses of the mythological and spiritual realms. I knew nothing about archetypes, emotions, or instincts. I only knew I hungered for more out of life. I wanted to live with meaning and passion, but limited by patriarchal standards and a broken heart, I had no idea how to do that. As Joseph Campbell had predicted, I had an adventure in the dark forest ahead of me. My old myth of Cinderella, whose compliance masked her fear, pain, and rage, was about to change. With the blessing of my husband and children, I returned to college to earn my doctorate. Soon, the dam broke, and my emotions and instinctual needs flooded my awareness. Like Inanna, the Sumerian queen of heaven and earth, I was plunged into a dark night of the soul in which I questioned my faith and sanity. On the outside, I pushed myself to earn my doctorate, teach college classes, and be a good wife and mother. But inside, I was suffering in a lonely wilderness. Jung said the archetypes attract out of the conscious mind those contents which are best suited to themselves. Why was I so unhappy and unfulfilled? What was wrong with me? Was this all there was to life? Desperate for answers, I joined a 4-year program of Jungian study. At the first meeting, I shared my Lone Ranger dream. As I spoke, my heart pounded. My body trembled with the effort to hold back tears. Something in me awoke and became unstuck. Puzzle pieces fell together. My archetypes wanted something from me, and my body knew it. Until this time, I had activated mostly my masculine archetypes at the expense of my feminine ones, hardened my heart to avoid more pain, traded the treasures of my depths for the false rewards of self-control and achievement. But I had received a call and was compelled to answer it. I bought books about dream work and committed to it. Soon my choice was rewarded with a second big dream. I called dream number 155, Going Against the Current. I'm wading downstream beside the rocky bank of a bold river. Hundreds of people shoot past me on rafts. I wonder how they keep from bashing themselves on the rocks. I don't want to go this way anymore, so I turn around and head back upstream. The water's up to my chin and the bottom is rough and rocky. I reach up and hold on to some flimsy tree branches hanging over the river. These help a little, but soon they disappear and I have to go on unaided. As I near the last turn, thousands of people are crowded around me. They're all headed downstream while I'm trying to make my way upstream to my base camp. Friendly people crowd around me on every side. With my hands pressed together, I gently part them. This reminds them of Moses parting the Red Sea, and they smile indulgently. Then I'm far out in the ocean in deep water. I'm tired and afraid. Will I make it? A young blonde-haired woman is treading water in front of me. That was smart of you, she says. I know she's strong and rested and will support me if I need to float for a while. So together we head slowly to my base, a place I've never been to, but know is my destination. Jung said, the archetype as an image of instinct is a spiritual goal toward which the whole nature of man strives. It is the sea toward which all rivers wend their way, the prize which the hero wrests from the fight with the dragon. Here are my associations to this amazing dream. My archetypes knew that my heart's desire was to come home to my whole self. My ego was aware of the passing of time, the river. I saw the danger of rushing mindlessly along on the collective journey and had chosen to turn my life around and look for guidance from within. The form of spiritual support I had always clung to, the branches over the river, symbolized the Father's religion that comes down from above. It requires perfection, purity, and obedience to the Father's authority. That way of living no longer worked for me. I was ready to connect with my inner world and the self's authority. The feminine principle is not compatible with pushing and shoving others to reach our goals. It does not involve boldly rushing into battle with brandished sword like a masculine hero. It involves trusting our hearts and instincts to guide us to the self. This new direction would take me to a dangerous place, deep water, but I would be guided by the mysterious woman. Well, who was she? Was she Psyche, my soul, or the goddess Sophia? Maybe she was a youthful version of Hecate, the mediatrix who meets seekers at the underworld crossroads and leads them home. Or maybe she was all three, maiden, mother, and crone. Whoever she was, with her guidance, I began to heed my heart's desires. Soon I knew there was a book in me that wanted to be written. So at the end of that school year, I left college teaching and began my first book about healing and empowering the feminine in all of us. And just like that, my underworld journey was over and I was on top of the world. My dreams inspired ideas, images, and themes for the next day's work. I had found my passion, and step by step, it led me through the writing of The Bridge to Wholeness, a feminine alternative to the hero myth. At last, I was following my dreams, living with heart, integrating my feminine and masculine archetypes. I had never felt more alive. Some days I'd sit back from writing and sob, thank you, Mother. And it all began with a devastating wound to my heart in a childhood dream. My new myth was prefigured long ago by my Lone Ranger dream. Walking on railroad tracks represents a journey through life. The tracks and train that carry large groups of people represent collective, dualistic thinking. In my myth, Tonto is a shaman, a masculine version of the mediatrix archetype. The self sent this image to call me away from the collective track I was on and set me on the path to my individual destiny. The Lone Ranger symbolizes the father archetype. Fathers are supposed to nurture and protect children. Mine made me acutely aware of my vulnerability in a world that devalues and victimizes the feminine. For me, the Lone Ranger's mask represents the shadow of patriarchy's heroic father and warrior archetypes. I'm still struggling to integrate them. Alchemy associates the silver metal, Mercury, with the winged god Mercurius. Jung associated Mercurius with the transcendent function, the inner work we do to connect with the self. The suffering induced by the Lone Ranger's silver bullet was a God wound, a place of spiritual promise, compassion, and healing. But where was the feminine in this dream? Jung said a horse symbolizes the maternal life force. And there she is, the Lone Ranger's horse silver. Horse also represents power and union with the instinctual animal self. Instincts are associated with the mother too. In my dream, Silver's grazing beside a forest. Jung said the forest, like the unconscious and the horse, has maternal significance. Marie-Louise von Franz wrote, "The forest would be the place of unconventional inner life in the deepest sense of the word." Well, in patriarchy, that would be the deep feminine. My Lone Ranger dream was a gift in disguise. Once my myth was about hardening my heart, wearing a mask, and living in my head to survive in a dangerous world. Now my myth is about integrating my feminine and masculine archetypes and opening my heart to authenticity, wholeness, and love. Jungian analyst Bud Harris has written, "The vehicle of our right brain and much of our deeper self is symbolized by what we often think of as the heart. Our symbolic heart is an organ of vision, a way of seeing that can help our intellect to look below the surface of things. There we can see the meaning in the events of our lives and be strengthened by them. It is the Asclepian approach, the approach into depths of who we are and the visions of the heart that brings healing." Myths are right brain stories about our soul's realities. Obsessive left brain thinking and repression of the feminine have brought us to this apocalyptic moment in history when all creation is in jeopardy. As author Shakti Gawain wrote, "The union of feminine and masculine energies within us is the basis of all creation. Our fate hinges on our ability to create partnership between the feminine and masculine within and without. What new myth will your heart help you create?" If you'd like to know more about the feminine and masculine journeys, I suggest The Bridge to Wholeness. Of course, my use of the terms feminine and masculine does not refer to binary genders, but to these fundamental energies in all of us. If you'd like to learn more from your dreams, Dream Theaters of the Soul contains the dreams I've shared here and many more. Healing the Sacred Divide addresses 9 dysfunctional God images that block your spiritual growth and 9 spiritual gifts you can acquire by uniting pairs of opposites. For more about archetypes, try my new Nautilus Award-winning book, The Soul's Twins. It describes 4 pairs of feminine and masculine archetypes and their shadows, plus a new concept of the self, which combines them all. It also contains an informal self-assessment of which archetypes are asking for your attention and which are quiet. All my books are at Amazon. Thank you. Blessings on your journey to your new myth. Namaste.